Hey, yo, it is yours truly, Lil Morticina, aka Mr. Cool Spot, aka
AKA.
The Gator. I was going to give you about 8 different AKAs, but I
Right.
said,
I
nah,
was like, wait a minute, you cut it
we're
short.
going to cut it short today. But here with my lovely co-host, Sharita Freeman. I said it
What's
for
up,
you.
y'all? It's Sharita Freeman, aka Free the Poet.
Free the poet. Yeah, how you been, Free? What's going on, man?
Lifing. It's been
All right,
when
yeah.
you get to the point that you have to understand the cycle of life, and regardless
Mhm,
of how much we love people, how much we
mhm.
love our family, we have to realize it's borrowed time and that we'll see them
Yeah,
again. So
yeah.
realizing that and just trying to be intentional about spending time with those you love. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I don't think we think about that enough. I think even when it comes down to people that have family members they're not close to,
Mm-hmm.
it's something to reflect on, because you never know when that person's time is going to be and
Absolutely.
what you should do in the process before, just showing appreciation, whether just saying, hey, I just thought about you today, just want to give you a call. You're on my mind.
Right. And go
Anything.
with that feeling, y'all. If you got
Yeah,
a
go
feeling
with
you need to reach out to somebody, do. Because on the flip
it.
side, you don't want to have those thoughts of, oh my gosh, I just thought about them. I should have called. You want your
Yeah.
conscience to be clear.
Yeah. So that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Good space to be in, I think. And
Hmm.
I think that's beautiful. That's just beautiful. You
Okay, what
know.
about you? What you got going on?
Man, I just been working.
Hmm.
Got a couple projects that I'm working on,
Okay.
the official relaunch of a storyteller's promotion and
Hmm.
doing the photography thing, relaunching my
Okay.
photography services, which is going to be phenomenal. I have a couple practice shoots coming up here, and then we're relaunching. It's supposed to be the end of this month, but we're looking at the beginning of next month because I need to
Okay.
get the website up and running and everything else. But outside of that, just some presentations that I'm working on. My main 3 goals is the cool spot, the photography services,
Hmm.
and presentations all year.
Okay.
So I'll be dropping some stuff on y'all, and it's gonna be dope. And these are just in my top 3s that I'll just be focusing on this year
Okay.
without trying to extend myself too much. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he say 3, and them 3 things gonna branch into 9 and 12 and 15. But I love it because I love how
Yeah,
your mind
yeah,
works. When you have a goal in mind, it's very set, and it's just like I got A,
yeah.
B, C, and D, and that's it. And
That's it.
I ain't never seen somebody with so much determination not to do nothing else or go off course.
Yeah.
So,
It's hard. It is hard, but it's the power of saying no plays a major
hmm,
part in that. You know what I mean? Like we get people
mm-hmm,
that reach out that they see different potentials, different gifts that you can that could pull you off course. But again, the power of saying no, if you just stick to the guns, hold them up strong and be like, bruh, Yosemite Sam, you know what I'm saying?
okay, the art and the power of saying no.
Yeah,
That's always a
yeah,
good thing. You know what I'm saying? Just in case y'all don't
yeah.
know, something you can work on. Say no. Just you want to do
Say
it. Just say
no.
no.
Say no.
Okay.
Say no. So yeah, outside of that, podcasting, man, I'm excited about this show today. We have
Me
the
too.
phenomenal Kathy Griggs that we're going to have on today,
We
and
do.
I call her now. I know she's out of Fayetteville. She has an organization called Fayetteville Pact,
Mm-hmm.
and they're out of Fayetteville, and they're doing a lot of great things. So we're going to learn a lot today, and we hope that you guys learn a lot as well, because there's a lot that we're going to discuss that I'm aware of, and
Mm-hmm.
there's processes behind these things as far as how they happen, why it happened. There's going to be a lot. I hope
Mm-hmm.
y'all ready. I know for me, I call her the mayor of Fayetteville, although Fayetteville already have Mitch Colvin doing his thing, you know what I mean, or the best he
Mm-hmm.
can, or whatever he feel like. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up Fayetteville like that. But this phenomenal woman should be I say she's the mayor of Fayetteville. That's
Mm-hmm.
my claim. I think she should go for it. And she would definitely have my vote, although I'm not a Fayetteville resident. She would still have my vote. You know what I'm saying?
We
But
have to slide a Fayetteville Addy, okay?
yeah. I get one of those online business addresses from Fayetteville. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
could do that. I could do that.
We
So,
can make it happen. She's like, y'all better stop.
but yeah, I'm excited though, and you guys should be. You guys going to get a lot out of this conversation
Mm-hmm.
though, so I'm excited. But before we get into it, we're going to hit you guys with our promo. All right, let's
All
get
right,
into the
y'all.
promo.
Remember where y'all stopped by today. All right,
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
Thank y'all for stopping by the cool spot today. We're gonna go ahead and add Kathy in, and then we'll tell y'all a little bit about her. Bear with me 1 second, Kathy. We want to welcome you to the cool spot again. And if you would like to, just give us a quick rundown of who you are.
Well, my name is Kathy Greggs, and I am the CEO of Fayetteville PAC. I am a United States Army combat veteran. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I also advocate for domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking. I have done a lot of work in my advocacy, but the main thing and reason why I do this is for the people, not about me. I believe in public servancy. Fayetteville PAC started in 2016. We became our own nonprofit. We were under the umbrella of Blueprint North Carolina Statewide Police Accountability, and North Carolina Black Leaders Organizing Collective. We started this organization based on driving while Black here in Fayetteville. 40% of Blacks were being stopped by the police. That resulted in a citation or an arrest. So we decided that, hey, we need to look into our police accountability here in the city of Fayetteville. We are statewide and national organizations trying to make sure we advocate for civilian police oversight, not only in Fayetteville, not only in North Carolina, but across this nation. We also believe that in any injustice should reflect in all people. So we're not just advocating for police accountability. We're advocating for all injustices for all people, no matter what gender, sex, or orientation you are.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Lima, would you like to say anything before I jump in?
I mean, off to a good start. Again, this is going to be very educational. She said that she's a teacher, and the way that she teaches is very direct and straightforward. And she just gives you guys just the meat and potatoes. There's no fat to cut out. There's no excess of nothing. You're getting straight meat and potatoes here. You know what I mean? And I'm excited about this. This is going to be a phenomenal conversation. So, with where we are right now, with Fayetteville PAC, you guys have a documentary that's coming out, correct?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. What's the name?
Coming out. The name of the documentary is called American Rescue Plan Funds.
What's the purpose of it? What was the reason for bringing this?
Well, for our reason is the fact that, of course, we do advocacy work every day to make sure that no one is struggling in poverty, and why other people are living in these nice areas, new houses, they're able to survive, but we got people that's not. So we believe in advocating for the disenfranchised, demarginalized community, because they are a part of that population and it should never be forgot about. So for us, we decided, hey, first of all, for me, I came up with this idea. Let's have a documentary on American Rescue Plan Funds, because this money is hidden money. No one's really out there advocating for this money. This money is here, and that we need to go get this money, because there's really not a discrepancy on where the money can be used and how it can be used. So, I came up with an idea one morning. I said, hey, I think we should do a documentary. So I contemplated in my head for about 2 days. And then I called my board member at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, what? And I said, I want to do a documentary on where this money should go, but I want it not scripted. It needs to be raw. It needs to be real, and it needs to show the realistic ways people are living now. She hung up on me.
Yeah. What?
So she hung up on me because she said at 6 o'clock in the morning, Kathy, you and your ideals, da-da-da. Then she called me back and said, you know what? That's a good idea, because no one's showing the vision of it. I mean, because we can go and talk at the city council and county commissioners all day long to advocate for people, but we got to first live like the people and see what the people are living like,
Right.
in order for you to even say anything and advocate for it, because it won't. You got to have passion for it, and you got to understand the sympathy of it. And in order to do that, you got to meet them where they are, not sit back and just advocate for it, just based on your own advocacy thoughts, right? So, we did this last year when we went and slept out with the homeless. We went and slept in the camps where the homeless slept at. We walked with them to 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, went to go eat where they eat at every day. We stayed out here in Fayetteville Festival Park for 2 days. Then we went to Raleigh, stayed there for 2 days in their park. Then they did it in Durham, because we made sure it was a statewide effort. So we had to meet them where they are, because you can't advocate for homelessness if you don't know how they're living, right? We met a man that had a master's in engineering degree. The only issue that he had is that he had a drug habit problem.
Right.
But I'm just saying that because you don't know. And anyone can become homeless, especially now how the cost of living and where people are right now with how much money they're making. And we had to make sure that people felt and understood that this is real and people are suffering every day. And we should not have to continue to allow the government to decide where money should go with our own money, because it is our money.
It is our money. It is. And that was one of the things that I used to always gripe about. Like, how is it that our government can use our money however they want to use it? You know, without our consent, without our, I guess our consent is voting for them, putting them in office, right? But again, there's a lot that the government does with our monies, and I'm just like, yo, like, there's so many places that you could put this where it could actually be beneficial or profitable for our communities, you know, whether it be transportation, whether it be, you know, adding additional housing assistant programs, or it can be so many different things. But instead it goes on stuff like, you know, war and freaking it's just a lot, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get on that Ukraine thing because I got how I feel about it, and you know, with all that money that's being spent on it versus where that money could be going, you know, in so many local areas. But I get it, you know what I mean? What are your thoughts? Because we've been having a lot of recent cases dealing with like homicide and violence, whether it be police violence and brutality or, you know, local violence and brutalities, things that's been going on across the board in America. What are your thoughts and what are your plans to kind of raise awareness on that in the documentary?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us to come on here and speak about our documentary and what's going on with our documentary. And thank you for all your work of bringing up social issues and social justice issues here in the community. You guys are awesome with getting that out, getting that information out, and making sure you are staying well aware and giving the awareness to the people. So for when we're talking about gun violence and violence, let's make sure we understand something. Gun violence is also with the police. Gun violence is not just homicide. Gun violence is not just making threats with weapons, okay? We also need to make sure we understand that gun violence is also with the police. Excessive force, causes a huge part. And we all know that most police brutality happens based on traffic stop, 57% of that. So when we're talking about gun violence, we must make sure we talk about safety, community safety, and community policing each other up, right? And at-risk youth, and I don't like to say at-risk youth because no one should be at risk. We should be intervention, prevention. Intervention and prevention is what we need to have. Intervention and prevention. I say that again. Intervention and prevention. Those are very important. Those programs are so important, and we don't have that. We don't have gang intervention. We don't have intervention for the youth. We don't have nothing for the youth after 7 o'clock. And that's where we have the issue of violence and how they are going into the gangs. Okay. But we also must understand we got to police ourselves as well in our community. That woman that lives next door that has those 2 children, you should be helping them. Right? We should never look and turn the other way, because this is how violence happen, and gun violence, homicides. You know, we need the intervention and prevention. We need intervention and prevention, and we don't have those. And who are we to pass judgment? And we say we want to give people second chances. We have second chances, but yet we don't have intervention programs nor prevention programs to provide. And we don't have that here, but yet we have homicides every day.
Right.
We have unsolved cases every day from 20 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is, what are we doing to prevent and have that intervention? And we believe using $5 million to start the first gun violence prevention center and get an assessment to provide real experts, mental health, substance abuse, LGBTQ, at-risk youth, certified people in this center to assist with this process. And that's starting off at 1 with just only $5 million. Get an assessment, open up the second one. But first, we need to have prevention and intervention. That's the most important thing. Because don't forget, some people that have guns don't know how to use it, They lack the part of safety. Okay, they lack the part of safety. They lack the part of lockup. They need to understand gun safety, because it's not the weapon, it's the person behind the weapon.
Person behind it, right. So let's say $5 million. That's a lot of money, right? Where is this money stored or located? How do we have access to this $5 million that you're trying to allocate to this idea?
Well, the $5 million. Well, first of all, the city gets $45 million for American Rescue Plan funds, and this money is federal level money, and they can use it however they want. So taking $5 million to prevent gun violence and homicides when your homicides are up, I think that's very important. I mean, you have one homicide every 11 per person here in Fayetteville, right? So, you know, that is very important when we're talking about using funds that the federal funds that was given from the Biden administration to prevent lives being lost. So how do you say investing in the people versus investing in self, right? Because in order for you to get invested, you have to give invested. So we need to invest in the people so the people can invest in the city, or you're going to lose people because they're not able to live or they're scared of the community safety. Community safety is important to everyone, and it affects everyone. No one is exempt. No one is exempt from community safety. No one. No one is exempt. So, you know, we need to understand that you can live. And the thing about it is with the gun violence prevention centers, I have already said and advocated at the city council saying it doesn't need to be in a place of interest. When I say that is because we have, and when you could look at your police department, they have certain common areas they believe is a community of interest where they over police the area. And then when they over police the area, you got places that's under police, right? Because they're over police in that area. So, you know, why do we need a prevention center in those common interests? We need it everywhere because everywhere people are dying. So it should never be a place you feel. It should be a place everybody's safety, no matter what.
Right. Okay. Well, that kind of leads us into the next topic. So as you talked about the awareness, doing the intervention and the prevention, for those that maybe take that other route and now they are in the criminal justice system, let's talk about the re-entry into society.
Woo, that's another subject, but no, we'll talk about it. I'm messing with you. So look, just so you know, in 2019, Cumberland County, and I don't know, you have to check your own county, Cumberland County lost $60 million for the re-entry council program. So we had, yes, we had to get with Senator Kurt Deviere at the time he was a senator and have a criminal justice roundtable where we had to get DPS involved. Because see, DPS gives.
So the money got missing, you mean like lost, like it got missing, or just like?
Well, they don't know what happened to it. Let's say that. So hidden money again, right? So, but for 2 years, we were without a re-entry council, which should never happen. That should never happen. When you have a whole DPS, you have parole, you have, and then we have people paying restitution. And if we're paying restitution, and see, that's the hidden part, fine and fees. You know, when you get out of jail, you have to pay restitution. If you can't pay that, you go back in jail. So when we're talking about reintegrating people back in society, how can they do that if they don't even have a job to pay their restitution? Because they're going to go back to jail, right? And then the families are separated, and this causes more havoc. Because then the family has to make it through, and the struggle goes into homelessness, and then the struggle goes into poverty, and then the struggle goes into how do I make money? Do I have to go rob somebody to go back into the system? How does this work? Right? So when we're talking about American Rescue Plan funds, we need to use that for transitional housing. We only have one halfway house, one transitional housing here for those that get out of jail, just so you know, here in Fayetteville, Cumberland County, with 426,000 residents, one.
Wow.
So, and then we have a mental health transitional housing, but you can't stay there longer than 6 months, and it's only 24 beds. So let's talk about that. And let's not talk about the fact that we have the transitional housing that may occur where we had bed bugs 2 years ago and had to make a complaint with the health department, right? So when we're talking about reentry, how do we get families back together from separation? How do we keep them together? How do we keep families together when we have this society that's only making $7.25 per hour? How do you do that and pay restitution a month and not go back to jail?
Right.
So we should be using at least $12 million towards transitional housing, mental health, substance abuse. And when I say transitional housing, we need to do it for transitional for they can get sustainable housing. Sustainable housing is the word. It's not just housing, ownership and attainability housing. So I don't use affordable housing because that to me is really a discriminatory word that came through the Housing Act years ago. Affordable housing is not a word for us. We need to say ownership, sustainable housing, because we have people living in places and spaces that's not sustainable or attainable.
Jeez. So I live here out here in Wake Forest, and so I live in Wake Forest, right? And I've been noticing, I've also been hearing stories about how they've been putting up these like halfway houses and stuff in the area. And Wake Forest is a pretty, it's a pretty wealthy area, and people it's growing. I want to say it's a growing, and it's known for its continuous like growth and wealth in the area. So I've been noticing that, but what I've heard was that you also have these private investors that are actually buying into these halfway homes, right? So that could be an opportunity for people, if we figure out the system or if we're aware of it. In Fayetteville, if they only have like one in Fayetteville, is what you said, then that might be I'm not going to say like it should be something the government pays for, yes, right? But is it an opportunity at the same time? I guess we can look at it like that. What you think? Like to invest in one of those, like a couple?
Well, I think first of all, we should already have one. Okay. So like, where is the money for that? And not using ARP money, but where's the state funding money for transitional housing? Because every county gets a certain amount of money from the state to provide funds for transitional housing, right? So we shouldn't even be talking about that with our ARP money at all. Like, why are we even having a discussion to ask you what to use with our money to house us? And then the homeless community itself, what's really going on with that portion of that money that you receive funds to outside of the American Rescue Plan funds? See, what we're talking about is the money that's there that has no discrepancy. So technically, you could use this money, this ARP money, we can give a check to everybody that's suffering because there's no discrepancy. There's no real discrepancy on the funds. But I'm going to tell you, there is this. You have to have your plan and you have to know how you're going to disperse these funds by December 31st, 2024. And if you don't disperse it by 2026, December 31st is forfeited. So we're talking about millions of dollars that's forfeited of federal money that could be used for people that's suffering. Because homelessness is everybody's issue. Homelessness affects everyone in every community. Because if anyone lives in poverty, that affects your home as well, because they're going to want to need something. Yeah. And that's where it comes to violence. That's where it comes to criminal justice systems. That's when it comes to at-risk youth. That's when it comes to the fact that people are trying to survive, and humanity lives off of each other.
Absolutely.
There's people that may be mentally ill because they can't survive. They can't make money for their family. How do we prevent suicides? How do we prevent suicides and homicides in these homes if we are not providing the funds that is needed for the people? Because it's their money. Once again, this is taxpayer money that should be used for taxpayers that are struggling. But homelessness is everybody's problem. No one is better than anyone else, because homelessness is everybody's problem, and it is also a community safety issue.
So what would be the bad thing about like the mayor or somebody that has the ability or the authority to step in and fix these issues? Like, what's the problem? Like, why aren't these things being resolved? Like, I don't like. That's why we need Kathy Griggs
Well,
in this.
this is so ironic you said that, because earlier you said investors, right? So let's look at the investing pot. We have people that's in, well, first of all, we have corporations and individuals that actually invest in your prison, because you have a prison, we have a detention center, right?
Right.
So when you said investors, do you not think that your officials are not a part of the investing process? You don't think they invested in that property? So guess what? You're not going to bite my hand that feeds me, right?
Right.
So if you're not paying your rent, I'm gonna kick you out, because guess what? I invested in that property.
Right.
So we have those people in those rooms that have invested in these properties, and they're like, guess what? I need my money. You're not gonna take from me, so you're gonna have to get out. So you got to look at it as that, as this is my money. Capitalism can never be separated from racism. Angela Davis said that. But we must understand that right now, our government is monopolizing off of the people and capitalizing off of it. They're using the people to make this money, but they're capitalizing off of it with funds that you can't find or see. However, it's sitting there that can be used to help the people. But if they are investing in these things, they're not going to stop what they're doing. They're not going to stop that developers from building in that Black community and pushing the Black people out that can't pay rent. They're not going to stop the gentrification that's going on right now with Murchison Road Corridor. I mean, Murchison Road Corridor have predominantly Black people, but they're going to build racquetball courts and they're going to put bike trails there, right there by Fayetteville State. So tell me, is that not gentrifying?
That is gentrifying, yeah.
So we're back to the redlining, gentrifying, and pushing the poor out and have-nots situation, because this is a have and have-nots. Who will live and who will die, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I can get deep. So
no, you're fine. Look, you ever go through literally people not being able to live.
Let's talk about the rent right there, Free. Because you remember when COVID hit, they had the eviction moratorium program for a lot of people, and then I think the beginning of last year, I think, is when it cut off, and a lot of people were struggling.
Actually, it's not all the way off.
It's not all the way off?
No, they started re-giving funds again.
Oh, okay. I haven't been keeping up with it since the beginning of last year, but I know when it cut off, a lot of people were hurt, and they put a lot of people in bad situations. You know what I mean? And
a lot of people were having of eviction, and then they would come back and try to pay months. But some people were already evicted by the time that occurred. Okay,
yeah, that's what the situation was. Yep. Yeah. So what are you guys doing in the documentary dealing with the cost of rent and evictions in the documentary?
Well, in a documentary, we go to different places that is not attainable, that doesn't look good, housing, and we show how much it costs. So for like Lake in the Pines, which is a really drug infested area, is really not that good to live in. However, for a 1-bedroom there is $900 a month. It used to be $600. So let's be clear when we're talking about the moratorium, because we played a huge part of that. We went every day to the courthouse to hear the actual eviction hearings. So we met people that was getting evicted. We filed a complaint against the city because they wasn't allocating the rental assistance funds. We had to push it to where they had to. We had to go to HUD, all the way to HUD, to file this so they can get that $15 million out, because there was people that was waiting for 6 months to get this money. Now, let's be clear on a couple of things, because when we're talking about eviction, you're talking about the landlord, the real estate, and the developer, right? So we have to have some type of approach in the city to say, guess what? You need to get these developers that's not allowing people to stay at places and stay there if they paid rent. There's 3 cases that we did where this person paid rent for 3 months and they still got evicted. They already paid the rent, so they wasn't in the process of getting evicted. They evicted them anyway. See, this is where we have a problem with the developer and the actual investor, because see, you can actually evict anyone you want to. There's no law that says you can't. Let's be clear now. If you read your contract, you can be evicted anytime, even if you paid rent. Right? So the moratorium really gave the opportunity for these real estate people to say, I don't want you living here no more. That's really what it was. They gave them the full hand in and power to say, I don't want you living at my house. Now, by law, the only way you can actually really up rent is if you do renovations. And go look up the law, if you as a developer did not add renovations to that apartment complex or upgrades, guess what? You're not supposed to really go on rent. But who's really controlling the developer and investor? Who's really the consumer complaint person you can go to when you're talking about tenants' rights and all that stuff, right? So that is the point, because once again, it goes back to the official part and the investors. Are they gonna stop their investment? Because we have people, and you do too in Wake County, that's coming from Texas, California, and they're building, and they're giving them the bid to do so. And if you don't make that money, what you gonna do? Because guess what? If I don't want you living in my complex, it says in the contract, it doesn't say anything that I could have to keep you there even if you pay rent.
Right.
I can kick you out.
Crazy.
So it just gave them the opportunity to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So all the people that they thought in their mind was low life, guess what? I got you out. We had a person get kicked out. He was LGBTQ. He paid 6 months up rent, but he even was personally told by the management, we're doing this because you're LGBTQ. So see, if you're not getting that, we had a woman, an elderly woman, she had a stroke, she couldn't pay her rent. They kicked her out. But yet and still, no repairs were done that she requested for a whole 2 years. Her sink was leaking and all that. But that's not the argument. See, when you go into court, they don't care about that. They're going to go with that real estate person. Show me a case where you won it.
I just heard about that here recently. Some people that a friend of mine know, they were telling me that a family had a house that had some like water damage, and they kept telling the landlord about it, and it got worse. So I think something happened with the wall starting to corrode or whatever, and then the landlord tried to evict them, instead of fixing the problem. So they said they're not going to pay their rent because of the living conditions, right? Then the landlord raised the rent on them instead of, you know what I mean? So then that forced them out instead of actually having to convict them, because they evict them because they can't pay the increased difference. You see what I'm saying? I was like, yo, that's crazy. And they can get away with that? That's crazy. That's crazy.
And they're doing,
I'm telling you, they can do it.
Normalized. Like, even remember before I moved, Lemoy, they wanted to go $300 a month for the same place. But I guess what they can say they did to renovate it. Remember when they painted the entire neighborhood? They had to do something to say they did something.
Okay. So I think you said that you guys are doing something for the LGBTQ plus community too. Did you say you guys are doing
so we believe in everyone, everyone that of course everyone is somebody, right? So we believe in helping to disenfranchise these marginalized communities, the communities that are forgotten, and the forgotten people of those communities. Okay. And LGBTQ though you may have a diverse community, but is LGBTQ really involved in the conversations of budget? Are they really involved in the conversations of building? Like, why isn't they in these spaces discussing what they want, right? Okay. So we believe that an LGBTQ center will help them with the safe spaces where they can go and have their meetings, HIV/AIDS prevention information programs. They can have, domestic violence. They can have all this information where they feel safe enough to have these conversations, because they're a part of the community too, even if they don't self-identify. See, that's another thing. Some people don't self-identify, so you don't know who is a part of that community. But yet we can't talk about diversity, equity, inclusion here if we're not including the diverse. You see what I'm saying? You can't have discussions about diversity, equity, inclusion, especially with me, because I am certified in it, unless we have diverse people talking. So I mean that by including the disabled, the mental health, the deaf and hearing impaired, all need to be in the conversation, because guess what? They all pay taxes. They all pay rent. They all go buy groceries. Even that homeless man that you gave $2 to, he went and bought a burger. That's still investment. So let's make sure we're clear that we have all those communities investing. But I believe having an LGBTQ center, I think everywhere really should be use the American Rescue Plan funds. And it's just $5 million to start off one and then maybe develop another one. But we need to make sure we have those people that are certified in there with mental health, substance abuse, and of course the HIV and AIDS, and maybe even a youth director. But we need people that are subject matter experts and certified, not people that's just volunteers coming here, because they need to still feel safe. We don't need people not feeling safe in their own communities. And that's the problem. Where is the community safety and safe spaces for the people of that community?
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's good though. Let's go back real quick, because I kind of want the people to kind of, know how important this is, like with all the information that you're sharing, especially with going back to the redistricting and gentrification or gentrifying. You shared a story earlier before we started recording about a mother with, I think you said 2 or 3 kids. Can you talk about that story again? Yeah.
So there's a mother that's in a documentary, and she's discussing how she has been struggling every day to not kill herself, she's contemplating suicide, because she's a mother of 3 children, single mom. She can't get food stamps, nor can she get Medicaid, because she supposedly make over the amount of money to get it, but it's only $300 difference. Okay. So right now she's living with her mother, and she's not able to get housing because she doesn't qualify for it, right? But she has to live with her mother and her children. But I say this because, for someone we just happen to run into while we're doing our actual filming at Food Lion, she's there like, I'm so happy you're doing this, because I am really compensating suicide every day. Like, how can I live the next day and be able to provide for my kids? And the thing about it is, I told her, I said, this is why we're doing this, because we want to show, because you may have 4 kids in your house, but one of your kids may not got the same amount of food as the other kid, because you cannot be able to, right? Or you may have it where you can't even spread the food to yourself. You may not even be able to eat because you're the parent and you're trying to provide for those children because of how costs. I mean, when you're talking about a 1 gallon milk, almost $3. You're talking about $4 for eggs, just 12. And we're talking about gas to and from work. So how do we live, and who are we to, first of all, who are we to pass judgment upon anyone? Because Jesus was a homeless man.
Okay.
Let's be clear. And his disciples was homeless. So let's be clear on that. So who are you to pass judgment? No. The reason why we are on earth is to help our brothers and our sisters, even if you don't know them.
Absolutely.
So when I met this woman, I nearly cried because she was saying this. And you don't know what people are thinking in their minds. But when you see a homicide, suicide in someone's home, then you know it was because of this. How do they make it through if they don't have enough money? People are willing to kill themselves just because they family need the money.
Yeah, and use their own insurance policy to pay help their family.
And some people ain't got insurance, so we're talking about GoFundMe. But the fact of the mental knowing that you may not make it every day, for this woman to say, I don't know how I have to get up every day just so I can say, so my kids can be okay. But for me, I'm not okay. So just imagine a parent sitting there not okay mentally and trying to get through it with their kids. And we could have prevented, and we could prevent so many lives being lost, right, with this money. But the ignorance of us not doing it, that's blood on your hands.
That's deep, man. That's deep. And I think people need to know that. People need to hear those types of stories. And I love the fact that you guys highlight that in the documentary, because I think, again, we can get to a place where we ignore our neighbors' struggles and the things that they deal with, because we may be doing better for ourselves. And it's a dog eat dog world out here, unfortunately, especially in the Black community. So if we're not here to like uplift and encourage and educate our neighbors, we're leaving people behind, you know what I mean? And therefore we're leaving the kids behind, and that's the next generation. The next generation have to struggle and figure it out on their own. Like, it's a cycle that just keeps going on and on and on. And so I commend y'all for sharing this documentary, man. I think it's phenomenal. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
And I really hope you guys come. We'll make sure you get in the VIP section in the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see it, and then you can meet the cast. So on the 4th is definitely meet the cast. You'll meet everybody in the documentary. The 5th, we're not going to have everybody there, but then this will go into Amazon because we feel like this is a national thing and people need to see exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. What about the Piedmont gas situation? Let's go there, Free. You said you mentioned earlier that they're putting where they're installing gas in neighborhoods, small neighborhoods near. Can you explain that for me?
So in Foxfire sub community here division, there is a lot of elderly retiree people that live in that area, and what they did was they built a Piedmont gas right behind it, like literally there. So first of all, they didn't really consult with the people that this was happening.
Right.
So just imagine you come and home and you're like, hold up, why is this dirt being built? Like, what's going on right here? Like, why is there something being built, right? And then when you go and have a conversation about it, it's really not a conversation, but this is your home. So like being over the age of 60, we have a part in a documentary of saying, hey, what's going to happen to the elderly here if it gets a leak or if it goes in the water? Right? Because we still have those issues now, even in Grays Creek, which is also a part of our documentary, right? And this is years later, since 2010, we still have Gen X in the water. So I'm just saying that, why not use the funds, right, to go ahead and either one, move Piedmont Gas somewhere else, right?
Right.
Away from the community. If we're talking about environmental safety concerns, right? Or two, why did you build it without permission? Like, how do we keep having things built around us without having these conversations with the people that own the property there? You see what I'm saying? So that's the first problem I got, because that's where the gentrifying and redlining comes in. Because we're like, we're going to build this here so we can push you out. Because see, what may happen with that area with Piedmont Gas, with that subdivision, and see, people don't pay attention, right? So if I build a Piedmont Gas here and people move out, then that means I could tear all those houses down and build a whole complex or plaza or whatever, right? Look at Cop City, Atlanta, Cop City, the training camp that's built right there where predominantly Black people are there, right? So my thing is, why are we not asking the people that live there their input on what they want? Why are we just doing stuff without, even having this consulting conversation? Why didn't we have a consulting conversation with the ARP funds, but yet the city knows where they want to allocate it to, but they really don't have a plan. They're just saying what they believe, right? And, why aren't we having these conversations with the people that pay for this?
So what about like the city halls, the town hall meetings, stuff like that? I mean, aren't those some of the discussions that should be had in those meetings?
Well, first of all, we're doing a town hall meeting today. This is our first town hall meeting. We're going to do one every month. And we have surveys that we're going to get people to put in there what they believe they think the money should be used for. Then we're going to come up with our proposal plan to go to the city and the county commissioners and say, hey, this is what the people want. Now, this is the problem, though. Even though we're going to them, they're not moving in the direction of the people. And this is where we feel that there is a problem with the oath of office. The oath of office clearly states that you work for the people, right? But we have people that took the oath that don't even talk to the people.
Right.
And that's where we are now, because democracy is always with the people. And the people will always win, and justice always prevails. So at the end of the day, democracy is with the people. And if you're not talking to your people and investing in the people, guess what happens? They leave cities like this. Then you won't have any funding. Because really, I'm going to be honest with you. Fayetteville is a tier 1. We are below the poverty of 27,000 4-family home. But yet the rent is 60% more.
What?
So how do you get... We are a tier 1. I'm going to say one time. 27,000 for a 4-family home. We've been a tier 1 since 2010. So how do we get above the tier 1? We are a tier 1 county, even though we got a whole installation of military people. But you got to remember, the military people are the ones that bringing in the billions of dollars.
Right.
But you never had a conversation with them on how they wanted to look. And then you got people like me or whoever that retired and came back and put in money to homes or property. Right? So how do you keep the people here? How do you keep your people here and continuously getting state money or state taxes and revenue or businesses when you have this high level rent and people only making 27,000.
Right. Jeez.
So we always say, and this is why we say defund the police, and that's a part of the documentary, because some people, oh, don't defund the police. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Hold on. First of all, defund the police is definitely a word that was used many years ago before we was even born, right? But defund the police is divesting from the $58 million that my city police get every year and investing somewhere in those transitional houses that we don't have, right? So why is the police department getting 58 million? This is just city police, $58 million every physical year. Let's be clear. So that means physical year could be January and then turn back around in June, and they're getting more.
I thought it had to do. Oh wow.
So let's be clear on that part, because part of one of the rescue plans approach for the county was to put $10 million in retaining and replacement of the sheriff's deputies. I'm like, why? They get $58 million. So we shouldn't be paying extra, taking money from American Rescue Plan funds to retain them and to replace them. Y'all should already use that money. And then if we go back and look across at all the cities here in the state of North Carolina, let's see how many raises and bonuses that your whole city police got since COVID, because ours got 3. So, and a city employees also got bonuses. So tell me how that look.
So why are they getting bonus? I don't understand that from since.
Exactly. I mean, our school board and our superintendent got bonuses, and their admin people got bonuses, but the teachers didn't. See, that's what I mean. You're not investing in the people. You're not investing in the people, and it's really the people's money. So if we take our money out, just like Martin Luther King said, boycott, take your money out, then guess what? You ain't gonna have no money. You can't monopolize no more.
God dang.
But I mean, how do you get bonuses? How you get 4 bonuses during COVID and you got people that's sleeping on the street?
Right. So when you're saying defund the police, you're saying reallocate some of that money, or you're saying
there we
just
go.
Not okay. Yeah.
Transitional housing, domestic violence housing. I mean, let's talk about real stuff. See, we don't even have an LGBTQ police liaison, but yet you want us to give bonuses?
Right.
So who's talking to that victim? Right. Is the victim going to be re-victimized because you don't have that culture in the room?
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
And see, me being an advocate for sexual assault and domestic violence, I know that you're going to re-victimize them because you are not culturally trained to understand.
Right.
And and you got to remember that each victim, the first person they see is a police officer or a nurse. So that will determine how they go further from there, right? If they're going to do charges or not. But if you stop me and re-victimize me because you don't know I'm LGBTQ or I'm Asian or I'm deaf or I have mental illnesses, how does that look when it comes to justice for them?
Right.
Will they get real justice? And if you don't have transitional housing, which we don't, we don't have transitional housing for men with children.
Yeah.
And there is men victims, and it is male victims. So I mean, how do we really say we're diverse when we're really not diverse because we're not giving services for diverse community people? You can't say you're diverse if you're not providing those resources for community people.
Right.
Okay.
You're right though. Like I did the single dad thing for a while, on and off, and there's not that many programs for like single fathers with kids. You know what I mean? Not as much as they have for women with children. So like you're right. Those are some things that need to be addressed. I agree with that. So I got one last thing too, because I've been curious. So last year you were at a meeting. Was that a town hall when you were arrested? What was that? Where were you at when you got arrested?
No, that wasn't a town hall. That was at the General Assembly.
Are you able to talk about that?
The charges was dropped. Okay. Thank God for attorney Don Blake Rowe from Emancipate NC. So, it was a budget. Now, just to remind you, the state hadn't had a budget in over 4 years. They finally had a budget of $340 billion of funds. Now, with this budget, and even today, we're still working on this. They was not going to put Medicaid expansion, Medicare expansion in this, okay? They wasn't going to give infrastructure money to rebuild, especially from the hurricanes. They wasn't going to get infrastructure money for like sidewalks, community. So they had took all this stuff out of this whole thing, right? And I'm just like, wait a minute. So I'm with North Carolina People's Budget and North Carolina Budget and Tax Center. I'm also with North Carolina Coalition for All Medicare, right?
Right.
So I was like, hey, y'all, they said, hey, we can go sign up and go to the Health and Humanities Committee at the General Assembly meeting, and we could let them know how we feel, especially about Medicaid, right? And how to expand that and housing. Right. So I get all dressed. Look, y'all, I'm looking all cute, ready to go. Okay, let's go. So they're like, yeah, anybody can sign up to do public comment. I go up there and sign up. Now they know me at the General Assembly, unfortunately. I know they do. So anyway, but I am a registered lobbyist. So okay. But anyway, so they know me at the General Assembly, so they know. Okay, so I believe Representative McDowell knew who I was, and she was just like, hey, we're not going to do public comment. I just signed up though. So me being an Army combat veteran and been to so many different countries, in my mind, I'm like, hold on, did you just take my right to speak? And I fought for people to speak in countries you ain't never been to, you ain't never advocated for, and people I don't even know, and about to put my life on the line, and you gonna tell me I can't make a public comment? We got a problem. Right. We got a problem, right? But anyway, I chose to still stand up and make my comment. I didn't put my hands behind my back. Nothing happened. It went smooth. Got arrested. Got fingerprinted. Damn. Went down to Wake County. Got mugshot. All that happened. And then Attorney Don Breakgrove got the call from the budget people saying, hey, she got arrested for protesting, So Attorney Don Breakgrove comes down there, and the actual magistrate would not let her in, the magistrate. And by law, I have the right to counsel, so they were supposed to let her in. They did not let her in when he read me my rights and read me my citation, which was $500. And they gave it to me for second-degree trespassing, but it really wasn't trespassing because technically the North Carolina General Assembly is the people's house. Let's make sure we're our money in our house, right? But anyway, and it wasn't trespassing because I did sign up, right? But but Attorney Don Blakegrove wasn't allowed to come in there. So after my arrest, I got charged or whatever. Attorney Don Blakegrove had to go and do a complaint against the magistrate for failure to counsel. And I'm happy that she won that, because now people have to see their lawyer if they're present during the and for some reason in Wake County they wasn't doing that. Okay. From what she said it was always an issue. But I'm happy they won that, because now they have no choice. They have to do this, right? So at the end of the day, it was for a cause, right? And I'll do it again. I'll get arrested, because guess what? That don't matter. Right. That don't matter. Right. What matters is the people, to me. And I believe in public servancy. When I took the oath going into the military, and see, y'all got to remember, my mom and dad was in the Army. So I lived in Germany. I know what the culture differences look like. I lived in different countries. I know how this looks. I also deployed to different countries, met different people. So at the end of the day, why are you going to take my right for public comment when this is not how it should go? When we're paying your salary, we pay you to do a job with our money. So we should have the right to have the voice. But I'll do it again. You know why? Because he that laid his life down for thy brother is a lover.
Yes, wrapping up on the spiritual note. Just I'm gonna bring this home for y'all. Okay, this is the benediction.
I love it. You don't know Kathy Gray is a poet too. We got to get her put on the.
Oh no, I ain't no poet now. Hold on, I ain't no poet now. Like you said earlier, I tell her like it is, cutthroat, because we have no right to judge. We are here to love one another and protect one another. And like he said, will you feed me? Would you clothe me when I come to your door? You don't know me.
Right, that's good stuff. Good way to close out, man. Can we share with everybody how they can get in touch with, and if you have product, because I see you have the shirt. I know you guys do, the shirts and different things too. So give all.
Oh no, hold on. We don't do swag. You got to earn this shirt. You got to do 20 hours of volunteer services. So we don't give out swag like that because we believe in volunteerism. So you're not just gonna get a shirt to say Fayetteville PAC represent. You got to represent right. But because it's you, I would definitely make sure you and her get a shirt. But anybody else, make sure it's on record. We don't roll like that because there's also stuff that you got to do to even be a volunteer with us. It's not just come and volunteer. Okay, it's a process because see, we want to make sure people are in safe spaces. You can't go to people and not in safe spaces. You don't know who may not feel comfortable with that person because of where they and we got to make sure they are ready to understand the culture of the people we help, because we're not going to shine on that homeless person that may have a certain smell because he got an issue with the police. Come on in, brother, you know what I mean, or sister. We're not going to do that, and some places do. We don't get down with that, so we got to make sure people that are invested in this are invested. We have volunteers that have been with us for the last 8 years rocking. We have the same board members when we first started in some areas. So you see what I'm saying? So the loyalty and the commitment is what we're looking for, and pure volunteerism, because we don't get paid. This is all volunteer work that we do. And that's what we want. When we first started it, we're like, coming from military, like we're going to do this based on volunteerism. And if you're not willing to do that, step aside. Just like our officials. If you're not true public servants, step aside and allow someone else to do the work. But it's not fair to hold up people's lives because you want to feel like you have the power to play God, because that's not how it works.
That's good, and that's how a real organization should be structured as. You know what I mean? People, if you want to represent, that's something you have to earn. You know what I mean? And prove yourself that you're worthy to do. Because, like you said, I think that's a really good point too, especially when it comes to community service and working with new people and different types of people. Some people get in and be like, "Oh, this is a good idea," and then do it for 2-3 days and be like, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm done with that. It was good while it lasted, but I'm done with that." You know what I mean? So that commitment's not there. And I love that. I think that's a phenomenal. That's good. I love that.
So make sure you send me your t-shirt size and I will send it.
We'll be there next Saturday for sure. So
I'll make sure I have it. I am too. I can't wait to see y'all. And to get in contact with us, you go on www.fayettevillepac.com and they can contact us, or they can go on our Facebook, inbox us, through the chat. We do intake on police accountability. We do intake on social issues. And then that's really the only way. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you can get in contact with us. We're going to be here. We ain't going nowhere. And when we get a case, we don't stop.
Okay.
And
till justice is done.
And the premiere of the documentary next Saturday, the 4th and the 5th. Can we get the details on that?
Okay, so the documentary is going to be on the 4th and the 5th at Cameo Theaters here on Hay Street, 333 Hay Street here in Fayetteville. On the 4th, March 4th is at 1 p.m. You can meet the cast. March 5th is at 4 p.m. and that will be no cast. So we got them those 2 days, and then after that, the documentary will be on some type of movie website, not on ours.
Nice. Tubi's another one too. Tubi's always good too. Tubi, Amazon.
Well, it's not up to me. It's really a vote, especially because I like to bring in everybody that participated and they can decide which one. So it's not going to be up to Kathy Greggs. I always get input from the people, not me.
Yeah.
So it ain't just me doing it. I mean, I give that transparency. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
So.
That's good. You already got hung up on from the idea by itself, so it was
that's how you know it was good.
It was good.
I mean, I get hung up a lot, and then 2 days later, the board's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "And that was 2 days ago. Let's go on now." And I don't write nothing down. Everything's in my mind, so they're like, "Oh, okay."
That's good. That's good. Go ahead, Free. What you asking?
I was confirming the address, but I'm actually looking it up. I got it.
Yep, Cameo Theater downtown.
Cameo Arts. What is it called? The Cameo Arts Theater?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Cameo Arts on.
And it's free. This is public opening free. If you want popcorn and a small drink, small popcorn, small drink is only $6. But it's free to enter. Yep.
That's good. Definitely be there. Yeah, we'll definitely be there. And the popcorn and drinks only $6 for both. That's good. They be killing at the movie theaters, man. But that's good.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up because I gotta go to the town hall. But it was awesome talking to both of y'all. I'm gonna make sure you get the shirt size, and then also I told her I'm gonna send the cut,
All
so
right.
you guys can
That'll work.
post a little something. All right, and
That'll
I
work.
appreciate you guys. Oh, I got the address all wrong. Oh Lord.
It's okay. I got you covered.
See, that's that teamwork. Boom.
There it is.
But make sure you send me your shirt size for real so y'all can have that Saturday.
Okay.
But I appreciate all the work y'all doing, and I love y'all. Keep rocking. Let's keep going, because guess what? It's about us, and only us can save us.
That's
Amen.
right. That's right. Thank you, sis. Be safe
All
out
right.
there too.
Thank you. Have a great town hall.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right. It was another amazing podcast. Because this one to talk show, because we won't live, guys. Okay, because when we live, it's a talk show. But this is an amazing build, and just the things that sometimes we're oblivious to, right? That we don't, take the extra step to look into, and it's stuff we have to, y'all. We can no longer just stand by the wayside and choose to do nothing, because things as simple as your taxpayer dollars are not going back into the community for us in any capacity. And, just like the story she touched on, to want to unalive yourself to be more of a benefit for your children, like that, we got to change something, guys. Something has to happen.
That's heavy. That's heavy. And I remember when I was working the bread company in Southeast Raleigh. I was doing that, delivering bread and stuff in Southeast Raleigh. That was my territory. And like the projects and stuff that was over there, they tore it down over there by the Rock Quarry Road off
Chavis Heights.
Was it Chavis Heights on Rock Quarry? Chavis Heights, that's Raleigh or Durham.
No, Chavis Heights is Raleigh.
That's right. It's Chavis Heights.
Because they put all the nice new ones, and then they did the one that was on the same street as the homeless shelter on that backside. Remember they redid them and made them really, really nice. Yeah.
So they tore all that down over there, and it broke my heart. You know what I mean? To see like families that, that needed that leg up. But I think what I've also heard too, which was the flip side, was that you may have 3-4 generations in those living situations when it's only supposed to be temporary, and I understand, like, it's not easy for some people, but if I could leave anybody with anything, I would say, situations like that, I think it should come to a point at some point in life where we're willing to sacrifice to a point to obtain the information, whether it's sitting still, sitting in quiet spaces, fully, completing your process, your thought processes and things like that, to get like a better understanding and the guidance that's needed, and I think a lot of people just don't know because of the struggles of life, and how the struggles of life will keep us super busy and active. And a lot of times in our being super busy and active, we can just be busy. Yeah, it's a rat race, and we're just busy trying to maintain what we already have, without having the actual proper structures in place and people that we can collaborate with or even live with. Like for my situation, man, my story, like I live with my brother 3 times. I say it like this, 3, probably even 4 times. Since we're in 2023, I've been here since 2005. Since 2005, I've lived with my brother like 4 times at least, to start over. And I think that's a great thing. I know everybody don't always have that, but I definitely think that, if we can build systems and community and finding our community.
That leads with trust, though. And that's something that our community lacks. We lack trust with one another, and feeling like someone will genuinely have our back. I mean, there are people that never experience, partnerships and healthy relationships with people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We've seen each other's journey through the years, and sometimes the journey makes people family.
Yeah.
What you go through with people. But it also was a trusting thing. Like, we trusted each other to tell each other, hey, this is what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we have to work on as a community, is truly learning to trust one another and knowing that we're helping, and it's not a place of malice with constructive criticism. It's not a place of, I don't want you to succeed. But then people have to use their discernment with that too, and knowing who to trust and who not to trust. But it starts with, we have to initially do the work of saying, I'm going to trust somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're going to excel. We're going to excel with each other, not solo.
Right. So
yesterday with somebody, a stranger at that, business owner, and we were talking about the same conversation.
That's good though. And these are conversations that need to be had. You know what I mean? I think some people may hear this and be like, oh, well, everybody ain't fortunate, everybody ain't this. And that's true. And I understand that, and I'm not putting everybody in one box. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying there's communities out there for everything.
Absolutely.
And if we can get out there and just find our community, then I think it will at least it'll get us one step forward, at least.
Absolutely.
At least. So
and not shying away from those difficult combos.
Right. Running from difficult conversations. Right. That's another thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I've learned so much through this conversation. Kathy Graves is a phenomenal woman. She is doing a lot of great things in the community, as you guys see, and you've heard for yourself. She is on top of her game. Like, that was unscripted. This is just her being solely dedicated to the vision, the baby. That's her baby. Like, activism is her baby. So this is somebody that truly lives it. She's been a veteran, and I'm inspired by her commitment to what she's doing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is what I glean off of, man. I love seeing people that has that kind of dedication to what they're doing. Like, all that information without it being scripted, man, like, you really have to be tuned in, you're dialed in.
Yeah.
And what I mean?
You live, eat, and breathe what you believe in.
Yeah.
And she lives her life that way.
Yeah. So I appreciate this build. I hope you guys appreciate it as well.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's about it. Yeah.
That sounds about it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for stopping by the Cool Spot today. Make sure, if you are available, that you do swing out to Fayetteville to see that documentary. Again, it's free. They're gonna try to give us a little chip and popcorn deal for $6. My daughter will appreciate that. But let's get everybody involved. Let's get these babies out here to even see it and to understand why we have to maneuver the way that we do. Make sure that you all are following Kathy Griggs on social media platforms. She can also be reached at kathygreggspeaks@gmail.com, the FayettevillePact.com, kathygreggs.com. As always, make sure you follow your Cool Spot crew. We're on Instagram, IG. I need to add up there that we are on TikTok. Well, we most on TikTok, okay? Because y'all know we are. Okay. Follow our Patreon, our personal pages, our artistry pages. We can't wait to see you next time, okay? So until next time, let's make sure that we're supporting each other and we're pushing each other towards greatness.